It's about damn time. And now we've come to the Empires game that started all of the Empires expansion, Dynasty Warriors for Empires. It is basically the crux and the basis of what an Empire game should be, and you would think that other Empires games built upon it. Some did and some didn't. So, is the very first Empires game good or bad? We'll be looking at the pros and the cons today to determine the answer as we review Dynasty Warriors 4 Empires for the PS2. Let's go! Aside from not being able to bring your edit characters from 4 over to 4 Empires, and also the fact that there's not many options in this game, RNG is the biggest problem of them all. And the reason why it's the biggest problem, because difficulty doesn't matter thanks to RNG, and it's difficult regardless of what you do. You're at the mercy of RNG. No matter if it's historical, fictional, normal, easy, or hard, you're at the mercy of RNG. More importantly, the items will only appear as RNG. Not to mention, so too will the goals. There are 4 goals for each officer to achieve. Guess how many levels you have starting from 1, because those goals are the only way you level. 4. So you only get a maximum of 5, which means that if that character has some proposals that needed, guess what? They're SOL, because RNG screws that over too. And in order for your character to be either a strategist or a sergeant, they have to be more involved. I mean, they could be involved in battle. That's no problem. The strategist part is the problem, because RNG, which you will soon see, will screw this over so badly. For those who have getting proposals accepted, it will be terrible. Like, for instance, as you see with RNG, I was only able to choose my officer. I wasn't able to choose the 2 underlings that's there. And look at that. 6 lands already, and I didn't even start the game yet. And if you're wondering about your character being a strategist, this is why it's hard. Because they have to be the person you choose so that they can have their policies. Otherwise, they're just not going to level at all. And it's also hard for it to be a good ruler as well as a tyrannical ruler as well, due to the RNG. Oh, did I also mention that you only have 10 officers in total to however many lands you have already captured? No, I'm not joking. You need to have 3 officers and 3 lieutenants. And the Musou officers cannot be lieutenants, but the generic officers can. Meaning, if you have 5 Musou officers, guess what? You have to have lieutenants. That's it. You can't do anything about it. And yeah, you're limited to a small amount until you capture more land. And speaking of how RNG works with the fact that everyone who is on your force has a special ability except you. You can't use your special ability if you're playing the character. But other officers can. They can randomly use their special ability at the worst and opportune time. And oh yeah, RNG also screwed me over in this fight, because Zhuge Liang was the officer in charge of this land, and they had multiple lands in their employ. And as you can see, taunt didn't work. So with that said, let's go to the pros. The awesome music aside, Dynasty Warriors 4 Empires has ramped up the edit characters to where there is 3 models apiece. 3 for the male, 3 for the female. And they have 3 sets of clothes for each model. On top of the fact that they have 3 voices to pick from for each model. And of course, they also have animations, or should I say, the ability to let you use the Musou character's weapon, along with the fact that the great sword and the rapier is no longer tied to gender anymore. You can use practically any weapon that is available, although the generic sword and shield is not there because many Musou officers have the generic sword and shield anyway, so it doesn't make a difference. Now, you also have the ability to put skills to your character just in case you're not using your character, but sometimes you really wish you could. And more importantly, you have the type to make sure that you go into battle with a certain type. Now then, you can't take them to versus mode, but you can go to versus mode with the computer, something you couldn't do with Dynasty Warriors 4 Extreme Legends, and I forgot to mention about versus mode. I know somebody's going to point that out to me, but still, versus mode is going to be pretty fun because at least it's something for you to do. And lastly, we got to talk about the gameplay itself, mainly the fact that you have bases to conquer. And as you conquer bases, you also conquer territories. And the more territories you conquer, the stronger your character becomes. More importantly, in order for bases to be conquered, you have to make sure you eliminate every single squad that is in the base, including base lieutenants, juggernauts, officers, and even peasants. Yes, peasants actually count as base troops. Even worse, peasants can actually capture your officers. Yeah, just like in Dynasty Warriors 5. But it's worse here because difficulty is ramped up and it's all the fault of RNG, not because of natural difficulty. Also, being a strategist means your strategies are cheaper. Being a Grand General means that you will have a higher level in weapon. In fact, you may end up getting a level 11 weapon if you manage to capture enough lands to max out your weapon. And more importantly, how the base system basically works, you gotta cut off the enemy supplies to the point where it cuts off to the main camp. And that's all you gotta do. More importantly, if your character, or should I say the enemy character, is about to fall, they're gonna go to a duel. So with that said, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you pick up every item you need from all of those bases, because you're going to get needed, definitely. And speaking of which, this game is going to need a rating, and that's what we're going to be going to. And with the pros and cons compiled, now it is time for the rating. Dynasty Warriors 4 Empires gets the rating of good. And there's a reason why. RNG killed what would have been a very good try. It's the only reason why it's getting no higher than good, but everything else is the reason why it gets no lower than good. RNG is pretty much the only thing that basically kills this game. Well, that and the restrictive gameplay. Other than that, everything else is pretty much the standard for the Empires game, save for versus mode, because they'll never be seen again after Dynasty Warriors 5. So with that said, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for watching the review. I'm still working on the Hall of Fame, but until that is done, the next review will be coming, and it's going to be a real good surprise. Peace out.